Well, hey crafty friends, it's Hiedi Scott with DiyDreaming, and I am super duper excited about our project today. We're going to be making some shell flowers, and there's two ways you can do this. One, you could do it with oyster shells that look like this, or two, you could do it with this kind of a seashell. And that's what the inside looks like. And then because I don't have little teeny pine cones for the center of the flower, I went outside and grabbed some of these gum leaf balls. You guys, these are the things that fall out of the gum leaf trees here in Georgia, and when you step on them, they kill. They're worse than stepping on a Lego. Anyways, I grabbed some of these and painted them. And we're going to substitute that for what I've seen other people do using a small pine cone. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. I love these packages. They're 3D canvases. They're 6 by 6. You can see there, I don't know what the depth of them is, but they stand up really great on their own. And I get these at Walmart for, I think, around $10-ish for 4. And they're 6 by 6. They are great. So, what I did today, because I wanted to have a whole bunch of the steps sort of pre-done so that we could go all the way to the conclusion of this project, I took some of this paint that came from Walmart. It is Folk Art Metallic, and it's called Blank Pearl. It is really just like a shiny white. Make myself some room. This is going to make this canvas really almost sparkly. Let me hold it up and you can see already the difference. So I painted this canvas over here. Let's just quickly get this one done and then we'll go on to the next step. I suppose you could do your canvas any color you would like. It doesn't have to be this pearly white. That is totally personal preference. Okay, so I painted the front and then I did all 4 sides, which I will finish that up off camera because I don't want you waiting for me to do that. Okay, so I painted all 4 sides and the canvas. And then next I did some gold edging using this, which is Folk Art Treasure Gold, also from Walmart. And here's what my canvas looks like. Isn't it pretty? And it's not perfect. I may come back at some point and do a little bit thicker line, but this is just one coat on the corners. You could do the full edge too if you wanted. This is going to be the base for our flowers. Okay, what did my seashells look like before I got started? This is basically what my oyster shells look like now. Aren't they pretty? This is what they started like. I think if you're going to do this project, it looks so much better to cover this up. So I just used 2 coats of Waverly white paint over the entire front of my oyster shells. And then when it was dry, I did a coat of this pearly stuff, which is called Pearl White. It's the same stuff I did on the canvas. And this is what my oyster shells look like. 2 coats of white paint. I didn't do anything to the back. 2 coats of plain white paint. I used Waverly from Walmart. And then 1 coat of this sparkly stuff called Treasure Folk Art Metallic Pearl White. Blank pearl. Okay? And so now it looks like this. And then we got to dollop the edges, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Easy peasy. Nothing that I did here was difficult at all. And also, I didn't do anything to perfection. This is going to live at my house. I might have been slightly neater if I was doing it for somebody else. But this is my experiment. So I'm just going to use a paintbrush. And go along the edge. Of my oyster shell. And then I will do this top part where it joins with the other piece of the shell. I'll do that more fully. And when it's 100% dry, I will come back and clean it up a little bit with another coat of gold paint. But look how quick that was and just how much better it looks already. So, this is what they look like. Okay, and for the project that I am doing, we are going to use, for these oyster shells, which I ordered on Amazon, and I'll dig up the link if anyone wants it. I'm going to do 5 in the back layer and 4 on the top. But before we do that, let's talk about these seashells. These are absolutely nothing special. But this is an option too. However, you have the exact same situation. Which one looks better? I think the ones that I painted 2 coats of white paint and then a coat of that sparkly pearly stuff. And then I did the gold edging. Looks so much nicer. So I could build a flower. I'm just gonna fiddle for a moment. I just want you to kind of see. If you cannot get oyster shells, that doesn't mean that you cannot do this project. So I probably will make one using these seashells, and I will get a good picture. But hopefully you can imagine what that could look like. All right, so these are all ready to go. And my oyster shells have come a long ways from how they arrive, which I think they're pretty already, but they just look so much prettier. Okay, so to attach our oyster shells and build our flower, I am going to use some A6000 and some hot glue. These oyster shells that I have here are not super heavy, but I don't want them to fall off. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to do 5 of the larger ones in the back. I want to make sure that I don't build it so I can't stand it up. Okay, let's do that. What do you guys think so far? Diane says the shells look good. She loves the gold trim. I do too. Oh my gosh, and I have done so many oyster shell projects. Okay, so oyster shells, you can get them at restaurants. You can get them at grocery stores that have oysters. You can sometimes find them when you're at the seashore, or you can order them on Amazon. And for me, that is the easiest thing to do. It really is. So that is what I have typically done. Okay, I'm going to squeeze some of this out. And let me grab a little spatula. Teresa says it's beautiful. Thank you. Do this or this. That's a heart if you're liking this project. Okay, I'm going to start with this shell right here. It's pretty flat. And I'm going to put a little blob of E6000 on there and then some hot glue. Let's do this one next. I'm just looking to see what part of the shell is the highest, has the highest profile. Okay, now let's do this one right here. When I'm working with both E6000 and hot glue, I always put the E6000 on first because you don't need to hurry with it. It's not going to get cold. But the hot glue does have a quick drying time, and so do the thing that you have more time, the E6000 first. Okay, let's do this one. I have been seeing something kind of similar to this idea at different boutiques for like $30, $40, $50. And I've been thinking to myself for a while, I could totally make that. But I didn't know where to start. The other thing I want to learn how to do are the little votive candle holders with oyster shells. Anyways. Today was the day to give it a try. I need some more glue. And honestly, this is pretty just like this. I'll hold it up in just a second. Let me get it fixed on there. But we're not done. We're going to do another layer. And what I have decided was to do 4 on the top. But I do have 5 shells here, so let's fiddle and see what we think. I'm afraid if I get too many going here that it's gonna look really heavy. Although I think that's pretty. What do you think? Should we just go for it? And then this is one of those gum leaf things. Then I will, maybe I'll pull these out a little bit so I have room to attach this. Okay, so I need some more of this. Alice says she loves this. Alice, I know you're going to put your spin on it. You do some fabulous crafting. I always watch the stuff that you post over on Dreamy DIY, and I think, wow, you're probably more naturally artistic than me. But anyways, I can't wait to see what your spin on this idea is. Okay, so. What this reminds me of, and maybe it reminds you of it too, is a maple, not a maple, a magnolia. A magnolia tree and the big beautiful blossoms that they have. That's what this kind of reminds me of. And I probably will have to come back and add some more glue. That's what I'm thinking. So tell me what you think in the comments. Is this a project that you would try? Even if you don't have oyster shells, would you try it with seashells, like what I showed at the very beginning? Would that be something that you would try? I need my glasses. When the whole thing is dry, I will come back. Oh, that needs to be glued down a little better. I will come back and probably add some more glue here and there. Okay, one more. This is so pretty. Oh my goodness. And the thing is, these shells did not start out pretty like that. They started out like this. Can you believe that? Okay, I'm going to be super careful what I do at this point. Yeah, because I can see that some of these are really hanging by a thread. And I'm going to add my little, I just painted the front of this with gold paint. I do think if I was going to do this again, I'm going to let it dry for just a second, that I would, like if I was going to order some more oyster shells, I would order a little bit smaller to go on this 6x6 canvas. Can you believe it? My desk is a complete disaster. And there's glue strings everywhere. But what do you think? Isn't it pretty? I have no idea how much this project cost me. The main expense was the oyster shells, which they were not expensive. The canvas was a couple of dollars, the paint. This is what I used. Let me go over that one more time. I painted the shells, these little shells, and the oysters with white. This is Waverly paint from Walmart in white, 2 coats, because I wanted to get rid of the brown. I wanted it to be white. And then I did 1 coat of this. I'll get a picture of these 3 paints. And then around the edges, when it was dry, I did this. I didn't seal them or do anything else to the shells. You could if you wanted, but I don't know that you really need to. And the canvas, I painted 1 coat of that pearly stuff, and then I put some gold around the edge, and then we glued it on. And these are those little gum leaf balls that fall out of the trees here in the South. They probably have them everywhere in the United States. And anyways, they hurt like heck to step on, but they're kind of interesting. And I didn't have little tiny pine cones, so I just used what I had. I painted it gold, and then it's all glued together with a mix of hot glue and E6000. So let me know if you have questions. Do it this or this. It's a heart. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I hope that you have a blessed and wonderful rest of your day. Come back later to look at pictures.